Yeah, I guess we have to get started even though it's a really small group. But we kind of figured a lot of times when Shannon and Nancy aren't here, you know, yeah, anyways. But I am going to have to be cognizant that I'm online. Darn diggity. But, all right, it's okay. It is what it is. So, we'll get started. Hey, hello, welcome, welcome. We were just going to get started. Yes. So, yeah, I was going to ask if you guys would make your way closer just because there's so few of us, but if you can make it a little closer, that would be awesome. And then hopefully the couple in back will be able to join us as well. Possibly. Posible, es posible. Ojalá que sí. Okay, I won't move. If that means you'll join us, I won't move. Okie dokie. Hola. Hi, sweetie. So I was asking if you guys would kind of come closer, just because it's going to be a pretty small group. No, well, I was saying it because of Adi, but yeah, you too. No, I'll let you finish what you're doing, and then, anyways, um, so, hi, good evening. All right, so I guess I'll go ahead and get started. For those of you that don't know me or that are online, my name's Yolanda, and Nancy and Shannon are out of town, and so I'm covering for Nancy, which is going to be part of my teaching, actually. No. All right, so of course we've been working on this book, Own Your Assignment. I'm trying to think. I mean, she was teaching on it the last time. I wasn't here the last time, so, but I think she covered. Yeah, there's a few more chapters left, but I actually keep forgetting, like Eileen, we've discussed this. Keep forgetting that the time has changed to 6:30, and I showed up at 7 the last time, or actually maybe a few minutes after 7, and I was late. So, yeah, I'm trying to drill it in my head 6:30, but I almost forgot tonight, which wouldn't have been good because that wouldn't have been good at all. I know. You would have been calling me. Oh my gosh, that's right. So, all right. So you guys, just bear with me. This is my first time teaching. I've shared before. Sharing is different than teaching. So sharing comes easy to me. I can get up here and share lots with you guys and go on and on and on. But when Nancy asked me to teach this chapter, I was like, what? Are you sure? No. But anyways, so the chapter that we're going to get into is assisting the vision. And I'm really going to ask for input. I'm just going to ask for a lot of input, and I'll ask questions. So please, if you can try to, help me out, that would be awesome. But I'm going to do my best. Okay, so assisting the vision. We'll get started. So what are some of the ways, what are some ways that come to mind when you hear the phrase assisting the vision? Just some words, like throw out a couple of words that come to your mind when you think of the phrase assisting the vision? Help? Anybody else? Team? Being faithful? All right. The word that came to my mind was encourage. Encourage. Which ended up being in here, which I was like, whoop, whoop. Um, that's invest. Ooh, I like that. I like that. Yes. Planning. Awesome. That's good. That's good. I like that. Anybody else? All right. So, um, so the three things that we're going to cover um, in this chapter is lending strength, encourage, and comfort. So those are the three main components for assisting the vision. All right. So um, I there are little excerpts that I'm going to be reading out of the book because they were just so good that it's worth taking the time to read. And then we'll just kind of wing it from there. Not wing it entirely, but you know what I mean. So, all right, let's get started. That only took like 10 minutes to just actually get started. uh, anyways, all right. So, assisting the vision. All right. So, the first part of a mother's nature is connected to the first part of the nature of the prophetic. That was like the first statement in here. And I'm going to say that again. Yes. The first part of a mother's nature is connected to the first part of the nature of the prophetic. So when you think about that, and that is lending strength. Lending strength. So when I was thinking about that statement, the first thing that came to mind as far as motherhood is concerned was I picture a little baby or a toddler starting to walk. And I mean, everything with children, babies, and motherhood, I mean, it's like we are getting our children to the point where they're able to do things on their own, right? From eating to walking. But to me, that was like the most prevalent thing that kept popping in my mind was the whole walking thing. When a little toddler is starting, just starting to try to stand, I mean, they need you quite a bit. They need your strength. They need to hold on to you. Until they begin to get comfortable enough, to maybe let go. They might let go for a second and then grab on again. They might let go and fall on their bum, and then you help them right back up again, And so lending our strength, all right? And that's what we do in the prophetic as well, especially mothering, I mean, that's what this whole series is all about is, seeing as mothers, seeing the vision in our children, and helping to bring that along. And then also not just physical children, but spiritual children. So that was that really helped me to just picture that. So sorry. I need to put my glasses back on. That's where Nancy and I are like, we need our glasses. Okay, so lending our strength. So a good example that was discussed in the book was the whole story of Deborah. And, well, not the whole story of Deborah, sorry. An excerpt of, in Judges, mainly Judges 4, if you are taking notes at all, Judges 4. But, so Deborah she's been appointed, sorry, I will, Judges, did I say that, Judges, right? Good. Okay, so in the book of Judges, through the prophetess Deborah, Israel's only female judge. She was also known as the mother of Israel. And there comes a time when she calls for her main commander, Israel's general. She summons him. I'll go ahead and just read this part. Um, Sorry, and I will turn off my phone. That way. Okay, sorry. So she summons her commander, the main general, Israel's general, and his name's Barak, General Barak, and commissions him to fulfill a task. So in this task, she pretty much gives him a plan. You guys were talking about giving a plan, and she even gives him the entire plan, step by step, what he needs to do, and made it really easy for him. He was to go out. Sorry, I lost my place. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so she makes it pretty easy for him, laying out the blueprints of the war plan, instructing him how many troops to take, sharing what the Lord's intention and outcome would be, that it would ultimately make Israel victorious. So he would be leading Israel into this victorious battle. The outcome would be victorious, and he would be getting the credit because he's leading, right? So she tells him the plan, she tells him everything, pretty much. And this was his response to her. Barak said to her, "If you will go with me, I will go. But if you will not go with me, I will not go. I will gladly go with you." Oh, she replies, "I will gladly go with you. But you will receive no honor on the road you are about to take, because the Lord will sell Sisera to a woman." So basically, she's going to end up with the honor. You know, she's going to go with him because he's saying, "I'm not going to go if you're not going to go. But if you go, I'll go." And she was like, "Okay, I'll go, but you're going to miss out on this honor, you know." And so the whole point of that, I think, is I think she saw an opportunity for him, you know. She saw an opportunity for growth. She saw an opportunity for victory, you know, for him to reap the benefits of this victory. But he wasn't ready for it yet. And he didn't have the confidence in himself that she had in him, you know. So she in turn ends up going, and she ends up receiving the honor for it when it could have been him. But the whole point is that there are a lot of times when we see something in people, in our children, you know, in our spiritual children, and we try to, you know, encourage them to step out, you know, and to take this on, and they don't see what you see yet. They haven't, you know, grown in the confidence quite yet, and so they might shrink back from that, and that's okay. Sometimes that's okay. You're still going to, you know, mother them. You're still going to take them along in the journey. It's just might have been a missed out opportunity. You know, I look back at things, and I'm sure that there have been opportunities that I missed out on, you know, that could have caused breakthrough, you know, that could have caused, you know, some real growth, you know, and there's no doubt in my mind that there have been opportunities that I missed out on, but there also have been opportunities that I did, you know, take the plunge, or, you know, so anyways, so I wanted to ask you guys if you can recall a time when maybe you did that for somebody, maybe you did that for one of your children, or maybe somebody did that for you, where, you know, they tried to encourage you to, you know, risk, and you didn't feel ready, or maybe you did. Is there a time? I'm going to give you guys a second to think about it, because I know sometimes it's like somebody asks you something and it's like, dang, I don't know. I'm sure there's a time, but I can't think right now. You put me on the spot. So I'm just going to give you guys a moment to think if there's a time that you recall that maybe you did that with your child, or somebody did that with you, where they presented an opportunity, um, for growth, for going to a next level, and I mean, we don't always see things for growth. I mean, in the midst of it, later on, you see, oh, dang, that could have caused some growth in me, um, or with my kids, you know. So when I say for growth, I know that in the midst of it, sometimes we don't think that way, but it ends up being a time, where you can grow or not. So, can anybody think of an example? Right. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, no, I gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm with you on that one. Yeah. Well, yeah, but no, it and it caused growth in us, right? So for those of you online, um, something that was shared was just the fact of, in this body, there have been times when, maybe taking the prophetic class, that we were asked to risk, and turn to your neighbor and give a word, or and or pray for a moment, and see what comes to your mind, and to give a word and stuff. And yeah, that is extremely scary. It's extremely scary, but um, when we did risk, man, I mean, yeah, it's an incredible opportunity for growth, because you would have never thought that you could have done that. Well, I mean, some of us probably have the confidence, and but for the first time, you know, yeah, it's really putting yourself out there, and it's scary. It's scary, but when you took that risk, I know when I took that risk, um, it was extremely um, gratifying, and for sure life changing, because it's like, wow, yeah, God spoke through me, you know. So for sure, I agree with you, Eileen. Absolutely, that's huge. Anybody else think of anything? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That's really risky, and it's a lot to put yourself out there. So that's awesome. I know there have been times when I have. This was in the past. When the thought of any kind of a managerial position was like, No, thank you. It's all right. I could not handle um, s- the idea of being in that position with all that responsibility. I feel differently now, but there was a time in my life where I absolutely did not have the confidence to do that at all. Like, not at all. I'm like, no, it's all right. Thank you. No, I'll do whatever you want me to do. but, oops. Anyways, so yeah, I agree. I agree. Anybody else have an example? Now we'll move on. We shall move on. It shall be good. Okay. Um, doo, doo, doo. Oh, please. Yes. I would love to hear. All right. Okay. So, uh, hello. Number the green. Hello. Testing one, two. Testing one, two. That's okay. I get it. I get it. So, all right. So, in summation to that little area, um, okay. So mothers lend strength to others until they can see themselves the way that we see them. So, um, so Brock didn't see himself, you know, winning this battle or coming out, even though, you know, Deborah was telling him, this is the plan. This is what God gave, and he didn't see that. So she ended up lending her strength, until he's able to, see that for himself. Um, Moving on, so we are to lend our strength to our children, spiritual or physical, until they're strong enough to know that they can do it themselves, right? And we do that, throughout motherhood. I mean, I feel like that's, it's what we do, especially in their younger years. We continually lend our strength, to them. But it's really good to see that not just with your physical children, but when you're starting to, I mean, I've been a Christian for many, many, many years now, and sometimes it's weird for me to think that younger girls would look to me, I mean, I used to feel really weird about it because I know my past, and and I didn't. It took me a while to get to move beyond that, and to know I have been serving God for a really long time now, and I definitely am not perfect, and I definitely got a ways to go, but I've learned some things through the years. There's no doubt that, we all learn things through the years, and these are things freely we receive, freely we give, and that's what we're to do, in the kingdom is, as we see these younger Christians coming up and, struggling with some things or needing to overcome some things, we are to lend our strength to them, and so. All right, so the first part was lending our strength. Now, the second piece is encouragement. Encouragement, and it's interesting because what does encouragement mean? It literally means being full of courage. I thought that was kind of funny. I don't know why, but I did. When I read it, I'm like, that's hilarious, being full of courage. So filling with courage is huge. I'm going to turn this over for a second. Being filled with courage is huge because fear often causes us to shrink away from our assignments. So, I mean, how many times do we, kind of feel like, man, I really feel like God's wanting me to do this or reach out in this area, or and because of fear of man, fear of looking silly, fear of whatever it may be, we can tend to shrink back and not do our assignment, or not. So being full of courage, and I think that's a continual process. Being filled with courage is, I think as mothers, that doesn't ever end. Even as our children are grown, we continually, fill. Because, I mean, how many times have you, like somebody speaks a word over you, or you hear from God, or whatever, and you're just like so encouraged and so full of confidence, and you go out and then like a couple weeks later, where did that go? I don't know. What happened? I think it's a continual process, being filled with courage and, boldness and confidence, in who we are and what we're capable of. So being filled with courage, encouraging our children to boldness is vital. We are to remind our children continually, I just kind of said this, of who they are, filling them with courage and boldness until they can soar for themselves. So, I was going to share an example in the book, but I want you to be thinking if there's an area in your life that, again, Maybe you lent, um, were the one filling um, someone with courage, or the opposite, somebody was filling you with courage. If there's an example that you can think of, I'm going to ask in a few minutes for those examples. So, but in the meantime, I'm going to share a really great one in the book. This was so good. Sorry. Okay, so one of the examples in the book was it was Thomas Edison. All right, so I'm just going to read it. I don't want to sum it up because it was just really good. So Edison was a world changer in the literal sense of the word, but it didn't come easy for him. As a boy, he was labeled and identified as mentally ill or incompetent by his teachers. Though many now believe that he may have been dyslexic or had some sort of learning disorder, which had not been diagnosed at the time. Instead of listening to the teacher and stopping his education, his mother, Nancy Edison, a former school teacher herself, who was not employed at the time so she could raise her own children, decided to homeschool her son. As a mother, she did not see the lack in her son's ability to learn as an obstacle. She took the opportunity to lend her strength to him until he was able to soar himself. As history plays out, soar he did. Thomas Edison said this about his mother. My mother was the making of me. She was so sure of me, and I felt I had something to live for, someone I must not disappoint. I thought that was so good. I mean, we hear these kind of stories all the time, where somebody wanted to just write this kid off. It's like he doesn't have the ability to learn. He doesn't have the capacity to learn. But his mother knew different. And I think as mothers, we're able to look at our children and to see, the ability that they have and bring that out in them. And we're able to, as we grow, we're able to see that in others as well. You just end up looking at somebody or befriending somebody, and you just absolutely know what they're capable of and what they have in them and what God wants to do with them and how he wants to use them. And they might not see it themselves, in the beginning. And you just draw it out of them, and you just keep drawing out of them until they do become confident in that and see it for themselves. So I absolutely love that story. She also gives I kind of jumped back because that wasn't the courage part, but that's all right. That's not a big deal. All right. So are you guys thinking? Please be thinking, because I would love examples. I would love examples. I'm going to tell you, when the whole time this week, the moment that Nancy asked me if I would do this, I was like, when she texted me, I was in Wyoming at the time. I'm like, what is she thinking? And I was kind of floored. But fear, right away was rising up in me. I could feel it. I could feel the fear rising up in me. And I'm trying, I don't always succeed, but I'm trying to, if I'm super afraid of something, I'm trying to face that, trying to face those fears head on. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes I don't, but I'm trying to get better at it, And so I could feel the fear rising up in me, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to do it, right? And all I could think of was, I am so like not qualified for this. Like there's Miss Jones, there's Connie Tidwell. Like I mean, I just um, like I said, if it had to do with Yolanda.